If you spend any time at all online, you're at risk of getting some bad advice, really, or maybe bad interpretations of good advice. But either way, you're at risk of getting some poor guidance. This is Coffee with the Authors. I'm Mark Parsons. This is Wendelin Van Draanen, and we are here to help you decode the craft and business of writing.
You have probably heard that you need to write every day. And I just think that's terrible advice.
Oh, yeah.
Because it puts a bar someplace that's unachievable. And also it just puts pressure on you. And I think that is counterproductive, actually. If you force yourself to write every day, it doesn't leave you the room to kind of gestate about a scene. And I don't write every day. I have a lot of books published, and I don't write every day. I never have. I try to touch base with my story every day, but I don't sit down and write every day. I spend time with a scene or where I am in a story, and I'll spend a couple days, thinking about it and kind of working it out in my mind. And if I were to feel like I had to sit down and write a certain number of pages every day, it would be crippling to me, and it would take kind of the joy of the creation out of it. So if you've heard that, or you feel like you have to meet a certain page count or, daily requirement for writing, you don't.
Whenever people are giving out writing advice, some pundit always gives that old, write what you know.
Write what you know.
Write what you know, sonny. Which is widely misunderstood. J.R.R. Tolkien didn't really know hobbits and orcs, and J.K. Rowling didn't know wizards, and George R.R. Martin didn't know dragons. And the real lesson here is you need to put your middle initial into your author name if you want to be wildly successful. But none of those people actually knew firsthand, had personal experience with the subjects they were writing about at all, of course. What that line, write what you know, really means is write what you know emotionally.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have gone through what your character went through, but you have to have gone through something that gives kind of a similar emotion to you. In other words, you've probably never lost a dragon, had a dragon die on you, but maybe when you were a youngster, you had a pet pass away, a dog or a cat or a goldfish or whatever it was, or Tank the frog.
Yeah.
But my point is, that's enough. That's enough. It's like I can remember back when I was 10 years old and our family pet dying. And just how traumatic that was for me as a kid. So if I was writing something later about somebody else going through maybe a similar but not identical loss, I could still conjure up that original emotion and put it into the character, and it would give it that certain level of authenticity. So really with that advice, it doesn't mean you have to be an expert about everything you're writing about. It means you need to be emotionally familiar with the situation that your character is going through to the degree that you can write about it with a certain amount of authenticity. That's really all it means. And for God's sake, don't overthink that.
When I was a younger writer, I had an uncle who was astounded that I was writing. And he goes, "How can you possibly be writing?" Because basically I wasn't old enough. And I don't think it's an age-related thing. I think it's an experience-related thing. Like what you've been through in your life, everybody has something in their life that they have an emotional, like deep-seated connection to. And if you channel that emotion into your story, it doesn't matter if it's about dragons or people. It's something that's going to ring true. Another thing that we've seen a lot of online, like on threads recently, is writers giving writers advice. And they say, just get it all out. Do a vomit draft. Don't stop to edit as you go. Just get it out there. And I understand why they say that. You don't want to lose your momentum. I mean, there are reasons for it. But I also think that's bad advice. I think it's counterproductive because part of the writing process, again, is the spending time with a scene. And if you're just like barfing it all, I just did that. If you're just barfing it all out there, it's going to be a lot of cleanup on aisle 5. So I really think that there's a benefit to going through and writing some and then revising as you go, shore it up a little bit, get it into shape, move on, go back, revise. We've talked about this in a previous episode, our revision process. You can check that out. But overall, I would say that the advice of just get it out there, don't stop, go, 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 is going to leave you with something at the end that's going to be an overwhelming project to revamp and get into a place where you can actually submit it.
And it's not really the, get it all out before you edit, because for some people that works, but it's that you must. Anytime it's that you must. It's like, I actually literally, we saw this on Threads, and people are coming out saying, you absolutely cannot edit while you're writing. You have to finish your draft before you do any editing at all. Like that's a fact of life. It's not. I personally, if I write something, I'm in the middle of something right now, and if I'm working on something and I write a chapter and I realize that was kind of clunky, or just a scene, I mean, just half a page, and I go, no, that doesn't make me feel the way I want the reader to feel. I can't go on because I know that I have this I'm building on this like sandy foundation that's not solid. I have to kind of go back and tighten it up. Then I feel like, okay, it's good. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's solid. Solid enough that I can move forward with my story. Another type of advice that to me is always a screaming red flag is when someone says, well, I have heard that XYZ. They're not going from personal experience. They're not even going from secondhand experience. Like my brother-in-law is an editor at HarperCollins. It's none of this. It's just like what I have heard. So you got people on the internet spewing other things that other people have said on the internet, and then third parties on the internet read that and spew it out to other people. And so it becomes this big giant circle of the blind leading the blind. And none of them really seem to, well, most of them don't seem to know what they're talking about. I would say about 90% of that kind of stuff is bullshit. The people who know, for the most part, we're talking about acquiring editors at major publishers. We're talking about literary agents at legit, honest to God, literary agencies. We're talking about traditionally published authors who work with major publishers. Those people actually understand the way all this stuff works, and they don't spend all their time on the internet kind of arguing with people and trying to explain how this stuff really works. I read stuff all the time. It's just like, oh my God, they don't have a clue. But I don't have the time, and I don't want to be a mansplainer and go in there and try to correct them or anything. So I just kind of laugh. I show it to Wendelin, or she shows it to me. We have a little chuckle, and we just kind of move on.
We don't just chuckle. We feel sorry for these people who are taking the advice of people who don't have the experience or the actual real, and which is why we're here. We're trying to help you sort through all the stuff that you see online to give you the real information. So
yeah, there's a basically, it's when you're getting advice from somebody. We talked about this before about writing advice. Well, the industry advice is the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you're taking advice from somebody, kind of look at their CV. Go, basically, do they have the experience to know what they're talking about? Or are they just merely repeating kind of conventional wisdom that's maybe not so conventional, not so wise? And there's a ton of that stuff out there. Major publishers will take your work and change the heck out of it without your permission and put it out without your approval. Like, you see that all the time. They'll steal the rights to your stuff, and they'll do this and they'll do that. All this terrible stuff because they're the big bad corporations. Because when we don't know, we're kind of afraid of the unknown, and we're like, what are they going to do to my book? They're going to ruin my book. Well, when actually that's not true at all. The first thing an editor will say to you, well, the first thing will be, if you take all of my ideas, there's something wrong. And if you don't take any of them, there's something wrong. And the second thing they'll say to you all the time, they'll say, it's your name on the book. So when it comes down to editorial decision, the final decision, it belongs to the author, almost always.
And yet what you see on the internet is these things that they're just not true. Yeah. So which is really kind of frustrating and maddening, because you get sucked into that vortex of negativity about publishing, and you think these things are true because everybody is saying that they are. So what are some of your things that you are wondering about, that you've heard, like on Threads or online somewhere, that someone has said about publishing, and you're wondering, is that really true or not? We would be happy to answer the questions for you. Just drop them in the comments, and we'll do our best to help guide you into a positive way about publishing and tell you the truth about what it's like.
In the meantime, when someone says, I have heard, just let it go and keep going. I have heard.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll hope to see you next week here on Coffee with the Authors. In the meantime, dream big, work hard, don't give up.
Don't spend all your time on the internet.
Yeah.
Because really what you should do is keep writing. I'm the king winger.
Am I a dragon?